actually had some patch notes in multiplayer that impacted Warzone, and that's not normally the case. And they made some huge modification to a ton of conversion kits, but one of the main ones I want to focus on today is the AMR, especially since that's kind of slipped into the meta. I know there were certain people that enjoyed the weapon prior to the update and it getting buffed. Now it's even better after today's update, especially for the base version. The conversion kit got a huge overhaul that makes it definitely viable, but the base version is even better. We'll go ahead and talk about how it fits into the close range meta. I probably won't do a full close range meta video unless it's something you guys are interested in. We'll discuss a little bit of kind of where things sit, and then also the AMR after today's update. And when it comes to weapon balancing, they normally change the range of a weapon or they change the damage on how it works. They rarely or very seldomly do they ever change the fire rate, but with these conversion kits, they've gone and changed a ton of things. Whether it's with the jack signal burst on the Holger, they made it more viable. They cut that burst delay down. The Thunder LMG, which was added as part of the battle pass of this mid-season update, where you're able to unlock the SMG. The first challenge was this one. So now it gets fast at 15 bullets instead of 25. Cool. But the AMR received all this various damage changes, and that primarily impacts multiplayer. But when it comes to this rate of fire, they actually carried that over to Warzone. So this gets a huge buff in 6% faster fire rate, which is pretty noticeable. But on top of that, the conversion kit also gets a huge change to that, because before this update, it was firing around 700 RPM, which was kind of trash because it was slower than the 789, but now it's closer to 1140 or around that mark for that double rate of fire. And on top of that, they also improved the bloom that the weapon had for whatever reason. So we've only updated it with the SMG so far. We'll go ahead and get the other conversion kits on here as well in the spreadsheet, which is linked in the description. But we can go ahead and see that the AMR gets a slight buff. It was hovering a little over 600. Very solid gun. If you get one leg shot it off, somebody just jumps through, the TTK will have a little bit of inconsistency, but if you can make sure you're focusing on stomach and chest, you're going to be pretty good with this weapon, and the range is pretty solid. I still think that the HRM is probably the better all-around meta weapon. We'll see kind of how this change impacts the AMR, because it was good before and now it's just better. We also still have the WSP-9. It does have an open bolt delay, which gets kind of tacked onto this, so it would be slightly slower. The WSP Swarm, this is only for the first damage drop off, which is 6 meters. So pretty good competition here if you know how to barrel stuff. We got the BAS-B, which is a little bit slow because it is a battle rifle, but it does have a decent TTK. The Striker 9 is much better after the buff. And then the other Striker, which is the base Striker, it has great movement. TTK isn't that phenomenal, but if you're forcing your target to miss, doesn't really, the TTK isn't as harmful in this scenario. And then we can see the Jack MCW. If you're making sure you're not hitting stomach or limbs, you're going to get a 600 TTK, which is pretty competitive. But again, that gun has a small mag. So this is kind of where we're at with some of the options. I'm sure there's some sleepers, whether it's the MX9 in solos, maybe the RAM if you convert it to fit a certain way, the new conversion kit on the AMR. But overall, that's kind of what we're working with. Especially now that you're able to equip the HMR with the 50 round mag. They fixed it for a lot of people. I think they're still rolling out fixes, so hopefully that comes out to everybody. But overall, the main thing we'll be looking at is the AMR. Although it does have that fast TTK, one thing that kind of keeps it in check, if we look at the base build that I kind of have, is that it's slow. It's a slow gun. For an SMG, it's pretty slow. Even here, because we're putting on something that's speeding it up, we're going all out to kind of speed it up. And ideally, you'd probably even want the 100 round mag, but then it gets a little bit too slow in every category. But if you're building it out this way, maybe you can get away with that, especially if you're dealing with quads. I think it's a pretty solid weapon overall, and with the increased fire rate, it just makes it that much more forgiving when you want to go ahead and take on engagement. Go ahead and try it out for yourself. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if there's any other sleepers out there in the SMG category or other categories. We don't talk about shotguns though. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.